Everybody set? Good afternoon. I'm Director Tom Hackney, Director of Investigations and Homeland Security for the Sheriff's Office. Going to follow up on our officer-involved shooting from last evening. I'll recap what led us out and led us to the officer-involved shooting. This all kind of stemmed from a Friday night, Saturday morning murder that the Sheriff's Office was dispatched to and worked. That involves 32-year-old Leroy Tucker. Mr. Tucker was killed at 1282 West 27th Street. He and two of his good friends were sitting around playing cards, and during the card game, for no apparent reason, the suspect pulls out a gun and shoots Mr. Tucker in the head. Doesn't say a whole lot, makes some statements about maybe he's paranoid, that somebody's out to get him. These are good friends. These aren't just met that day. These are people that knew each other well. So yesterday during the day, our homicide detectives continued working that case and developed information on who the suspect was from the living victim and some other folks. Actually found that he had made some confessions during the day to committing the murder yesterday, talked to those people, developed our probable cause, and had a search warrant and an arrest warrant issued for the suspect. We learned where he was through the investigative process, or believed where he was, and enlisted the assistance from some JSO SWAT team members to be able to serve those search warrant and arrest warrants. So the detectives go out to the University Club Boulevard area, to the Plaza Apartments located at 3780 University Club Boulevard. Went to the apartment where they suspected he was and made contact with him, speaking to him through doors and windows. They knew that it was him. He made contact with them, told them in no uncertain terms that he was not coming out without a fight, and they would have to get him. So at that point in time, those 8 members of the SWAT team went ahead and decided that a full SWAT call-out with negotiators responding would be initiated. So while that was being put into place, they did a perimeter and tried to contain the subject in the apartment. We want the path of least resistance, obviously, and having the negotiators come out is the standard protocol for that. So while they were set up around the apartment, again, unprovoked or unasked, the subject swung the front door open and pointed a dark black object at the 3 detectives who happened to be covering the front door area. Those detectives, seeing him hold this object like a gun, pointed at him like a gun, they used their issued rifles and shot in total, all 3 of them included, 21 times at the subject. They struck him in the torso and extremities. The suspect fell, fire rescue was called, and he was announced dead at the scene. The 3 detectives involved have all been placed on administrative leave, which is standard for our policy. Our subject in this case has been identified as 28-year-old David Andre Scott. Mr. Scott has a criminal history from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office for felony drug violations, and he's got some other misdemeanors throughout the state of Florida. The 3 detectives involved have been identified as Sergeant Brad Eckelberger, Echelberger. He's a 20-year veteran and a supervisor in our gang unit. 16-year veteran Detective Lee McCraney, McCranie, and he's in the criminal apprehension unit, as well as 8-year veteran Detective Woodrow Crotty, and he's in the gang unit as well. You know, when we look back at this, this is apparently a case of a suicide by cop. This individual here was not armed. The dark object that he was holding was approximately a 3-inch by 6-inch by 1-inch wide box that was shoved into a dark black sock, held in the manner as if it was a pistol. He exited the apartment and pointed at the detectives. He obviously took a sock and a box to what he knew would be a gunfight, and that's unfortunate. In those particular cases, these folks who decide to have detectives and officers take care of their dirty work for them, it's again unfortunate to have that occur. As is all these cases, a separate investigation is done by the State Attorney's Office. A member of the State Attorney's Office was out there last night. They will conduct their separate investigation. The Sheriff's Office will conduct a criminal investigation, as well as an administrative review will be conducted once the criminal investigation is over. I can take some questions if anybody has them.
Teresa Stepsinski from the Times-Union. Approximately how far away were the detectives from the suspect when they fired?
8 to 10 feet. This is a darkened corridor of an apartment. There are 4 apartment doors in that corridor. There's a stairwell that runs through the middle of it leading to the 2nd floor. So they were surrounded there within the corridor and outside watching the front door.
Ashley Harding, Channel 4. Was he in a unit? If so, whose unit was it?
It was a female unit, a friend of his sister's apartment where he was. And after we conducted the search warrant, we were looking for the firearm that was used in the murder from 27th Street. That was not located inside the apartment, so he didn't have any gun in there. All he had was this makeshift dark object that he used.
Michael, it's First Coast News. You mentioned Eckelberger, McCraney, and Crotty. Woodrow Crotty. You didn't spell Crotty.
I'm sorry, C-R-O-T-T-Y, Crotty.
Did he?
C or T?
C-R-O-T-T.
Any of those guys? Any of those have been involved in any shootings before?
Yeah, they have. Eckelberger and McCraney. I'm sorry, Eckelberger and Crotty, it's their second shooting. McCraney, it's his first shooting. And again, all three of these detectives are members of the SWAT team as well as their gang unit and criminal apprehension jobs.
Can you tell me about the woman's apartment that he was in? Did that person know what he had done previously?
We believe so. Still kind of working through that. We've got really two separate investigations going. Our cold case team is looking into the officer involved shooting, while the normal homicide team is still investigating Mr. Tucker's murder. So we'll work through that. But it appears that she did at least know he was going to be there.
Was there anyone else in the unit?
No, he was actually alone in her apartment at the time. She had left for reasons unknown, but he was there by himself.
And then going back to the original shooting while they were playing cards, the other person that was there wasn't hurt?
He was shot at. He was not hit. He was able to run from the apartment. It actually led to a little confusion that night when officers got there. When he called, he wasn't sure exactly where this had occurred. He fled on foot, obviously kind of running scared. Got the officers there, and it took them actually a couple hours to figure where he was to lead himself back. And once we did, obviously, we began an investigation and found Mr. Tucker was killed. And that started the ball rolling as it goes to there.
Can you identify him?
The
guy that was shot at?
No, I'm not going to at this point in time. Still kind of fluid with that, and I prefer not to at this point in time.
Can you tell us anything about Leroy Tucker? Is he someone known to you all, the gentleman who was murdered yesterday?
I can get his criminal history for you. I'm not exactly sure what that is. The PIO will be able to pull that criminal history for you.
About what time did all of this start out at University Boulevard?
Around 8 o'clock. By the time the detectives got out there and got set up, it was 7:45, 8 o'clock, and then things started rolling from there.
The shooting happened when?
I can get that exact time for you, Mike. It's written in my notes, but I'm not here.
Tucker, you said Tucker was 32, didn't you say that?
Tucker's
this morning?
32 years old.
32.
And Scott's 28 years old. All right. Thank you for your attention.